I'm your host, Paula, here on my show, Digging Deep with Paula. I'm here to give another episode to tell you some more about what's going on in the city of Alton and in our region, Madison County. I have a special guest. Again, remember, all my guests are special. So I have another special guest with me here on tonight that's on a topic that we as the community at large is able to be involved in, to be able to assist in. So we're going to ask you some stuff at the very end of the show. But right now, I'm getting ready to bring my guest on today. We're going to talk about some political issues, which I think we as the community should always be involved in. Because if you don't get involved, then you don't have a voice. You don't have a voice because why? You don't get involved. So today on my guest is none other than Ebony Huddleston. Come on over, Ebony. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Awesome on this Thursday evening. Listen, we're going to have some good topics here on tonight, good questions. If you have questions, look, feel free to tag them in there and we'll try to get them answered for you best we can. And so I'm excited about the guest tonight. I'm excited because I have gotten to meet her, have able to do a few little things, trying to get ready for what she's going to be taking place in her life at the end of the year here come in November. So we're going to just dive right into because we got questions and she's going to be answering some questions. And for those of you all that don't know her and those of you all that knew who she is but did not know her, I'm introducing you today, Ebony Huddleston, who is running for a particular seat in our region, in our county, in our city. All right? So, Ebony Huddleston, let me ask you this question. People want to know, who is Ebony Huddleston?
Ebony Huddleston is a lifelong resident of Madison County. Ebony Huddleston is someone who was born and bred in the education system right here in Alton.
All right.
Ebony Huddleston is someone who cares about her community, is invested in her community, and has been showing her dedication to the community since before she graduated high school, but since I've come back home during all my years of practice as an attorney here in the Madison County area.
Well, she's already answered my next question. She can go a little further about her being an attorney. What type of attorney are you, Ebony?
Yes, so I'm an attorney that practices a few primary areas. And so I practice in civil litigation, which is basically like business disputes, contract disputes, things of that nature. Also, I do estate planning. So that's people who are trying to figure out what they want to do with their assets for the rest of their life and then after they pass away. So wills, trusts, people putting together powers of attorney. So family members and friends can know what they want to have happen to them if they come of a disabled nature or incapacitated. I also do a lot of real estate transactions, so buying and selling of property, and we all have dealt with that in one way or another.
Yes.
Whether it be your own family members, mama, granddaddy, grandpa passed away, what happens to the house?
Mm-hmm.
You come to me, and I help you work through that.
All right.
I also do tax litigation. I have a business background in accounting, so a lot of people find it boring dealing with the IRS, but I love it. I love it. So
somebody got to do it, right?
Right. So tax litigation, which is the IRS, as well as Illinois Department of Revenue and sometimes Missouri Department of Revenue. And then the other major area that I practice in is family law. So a lot of issues dealing with custody, child support, parenting time arrangements, divorces, prenuptial agreements, separations, all of it. You handle all of that.
Wow. Well, listen, I don't know if I should have time to do anything else. That was a whole lot. And I want to thank you, first of all, for explaining everything that you said when you named it, because people say, oh, but we don't know what they really mean. So I thank you for explaining what every position that you actually talked about. Okay, so now my next question is, those of you all that don't know, and the reason why we're having the interview on today is that Ebony is running for a seat here in our region. And the seat that she's running for, I'm going to let her tell it. What are you running for,
So,
Ebony?
Thank you. I am running for Madison County Circuit Court Judge. So Madison County Circuit Court Judge is a position that is elected by the people, by you all, by us, to say who we as a community want to be the person who makes the decision about our lives, quite frankly. So when elected as circuit court judge,
Oh, I like that job. Come on now.
I would my office and where I would be located would be in Edwardsville at the courthouse. And so there are currently there are 9 circuit judge positions open. Each one of those has to be elected. And so currently there are 3 vacancies that are up for election November 8th. I am running for one of those seats.
Okay.
So other individuals who, whether they identify Democrat, we are each running for a separate seat. We're not running against each other.
Now that's good to know, because then you divide the vote.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So that's what I'm running for November 8th.
All right. So now, again, explain what a circuit judge actually does.
Sure. So circuit judge hears various matters that come before them. So when people file suits in the courthouse, either against each other or against a company, maybe there's a personal injury situation where you all have heard of asbestos cases, and these, the Camp Lejeune is the newest one, I think, out here being promoted.
Yes.
Those sorts of issues. When an individual files a lawsuit to say, hey, I was done wrong, I want some kind of decision made about I should get some kind of compensation for whatever the situation was, you file that case, and then a judge has to hear it. Who it gets assigned to typically is a circuit judge. The circuit judges then divide amongst themselves. There's a chief, but the circuit judges divide amongst themselves who hears what type of cases. So circuit judges hear personal injury cases. We hear the civil litigation. We hear the real estate, so business transaction issues, real estate issues. There might be some kind of tax issue as well, property tax issues, all kinds of issues. The circuit judges hear those cases and then make the decision based on the facts that are presented to them and the law. They interpret the law, apply the facts to the law, and then make a decision as to whether it's yes, no, win, lose, whatever the situation is.
Okay, so now does the circuit judge have a jury that they sit in there with them, or they just do the decision on their own?
So it depends. So when a person files a case or a lawsuit, they can have the option to ask for a jury to be a part of the decision-making process, or say, you know what, I don't want a jury, I just want that particular judge to make the decision, and that would be considered a bench trial, where it's just the judge, myself, that hears all the evidence and makes the decision.
Okay.
So it's up to the individuals, as we call litigants, who file the complaints. It's up to them to decide. But most of the time, I'll say oftentimes, the circuit judges hear the cases on their own and make the decision.
Wow. So then that means the people have to vote for somebody that they can trust.
There you go. You got it.
Yes, because you got the fate of your decision in one person's hand, not a board of 12.
There you go. You got it.
So you have to make sure you put the right person in office.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Oh, no, go right ahead.
So, you want somebody who's ethical. You want somebody who is understanding as well. You want someone who knows the law, who's been practicing in the law as well. You want someone who has all of those characteristics, which I know and do possess, and it's just a fact. To be in that seat, to say, hey, look, whenever someone comes before me, you're not just a number. You're not just another file case number. You're not just another company. You mean something to me when you're before me. Right? So you get that understanding from the judge to make sure that person knows, hey, look, I'm coming before you. This is my livelihood in your hands. Have some sort of understanding about that. I feel that a lot of us citizens in the community are defeated before they even get to the courtroom, before they even get to the courthouse.
Yes.
Sometimes before they even file the case, or maybe they have a case filed against them and they've got to go respond to it. They already feel like they've lost and they're not going to be heard or seen or understood. Because, like, you know what, I don't mean anything to them. I'm just in the run-of-the-mill next case for them. That has been an issue I've always had since practicing law. And we can get back into the details of how long and all that kind of stuff. But that's one of the core reasons as to why I'm running for judge, is because there's no I serve as a judge, I serve the citizens. It's not the other way around. The citizens elect me, right? The citizens tell me, look, I want a certain type of character on the bench. Then it's my job to fulfill that according to the law.
Mhm.
So I can't tell you, look, just because you voted for me, if you did wrong and violated the law, that the law is the law. I'm not going to,
Yes.
sneak any favors in, so to say,
Right.
like that. If you got to go by the law,
Right.
but you want to be able to say, you know what, this is what happened. I did it, but you know what, she was fair.
Yes.
She was fair.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to come out of that courtroom saying, you know what, man, she didn't hear me.
Yeah.
I know I did wrong, but at least you could have did was heard my side of the story.
Yes.
She didn't even do that. A lot of people, from my understanding and talking to a lot of people that I've represented over my numerous years of practice and before then, feel like they don't even get that opportunity to be heard.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Listen, I'm gonna throw this in. You know, from watching Law and Order, whether you're watching SVU and all the other ones, that sometimes you see that you don't get a fair chance and that you're not heard, as you keep stressing, which is the people want to be heard. Right. Because they have a voice, and will the voice be heard? And so looking at that, it even giving me a new shed of light on what a circuit judge does, because you just see a judge, someone hit them like, boom, guilty, right, not guilty, So it has to be someone that we, the people, can vote into office who will be able to be on our side, or at least hear our side, whether we're guilty or innocent.
There you go. There you go.
Because when a person feel like they heard, they can take whatever the outcome is.
That's right. That's right.
Because you were heard.
That's right. That's right.
Even most people, when they go for counseling, they want to be heard.
That's right.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay. That is something. So now, this seat here, how often does it come up for re-election?
Great question. So the circuit judge is a 6-year term. So once elected, I would be in that seat for a minimum of 6 years.
Okay.
And then I would have to run for election again at the end of that term to be reappointed to that seat.
Wow. And that's pretty good. 6 years. You can get a lot done in that time.
You can get, and I'm glad you said that, because that's the key as well. Another one of the reasons why I'm running is because within the courthouse and within the structure of the court, the circuit court, again, there's 9 circuit judges. Those 9 circuit judges elect a chief judge, so kind of a captain of the team, so to say. And then that captain of the team helps to put together the procedures that go on with the courthouse. So, for example, everyone who lived through COVID, the courthouse had to kind of reinvent itself on how cases were going to be heard. Zoom became a major way to have hearings and jury trial, or not jury, but trials, and so on and so forth. It's the circuit judges and the chief judge that put those procedures together. So it's more than just sitting behind a bench in a black robe and a gavel and saying you're guilty or not, or saying you're going to win or you're going to lose. We do a lot of administrative work behind the scenes as well to make sure, again, that the judicial system in our community in Madison County is running as effective and efficiently as possible for the citizens here, right?
Yes.
So you want to elect someone to be a circuit judge to make sure that those things are occurring for you. Again, we serve you. We need to know what the people want to have happen in their judicial system. And then we get together, we talk about that, and then procedures are put together.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. You answered it's in some of ways of what you've already spoken of. Well, why should the people vote for Ebony Huddleston? What makes Ebony Huddleston a good candidate that we should put our trust in Ebony, that we will be heard no matter what background we come from, no matter what walk of life, no matter the color of our skin or the wrong we have committed?
That's right.
What makes us believe that Ebony Huddleston will be a good choice to be able to sit on this seat?
Once again, born and raised here, right? I'm familiar with the community. This is all that I've known. Absent going away to undergrad and law school, I went to undergrad in New Orleans and then law school in Ohio, but came home immediately upon graduation and have always practiced right here in this community, right? So that's one of the reasons. I'm familiar with the area. I know the citizens. I've served on a lot of the boards. Community service has been a huge part of my life. So I feel that I've been in touch with various aspects of our citizens here, right? Also, qualified. I may be a bit younger than what we typically see on the circuit bench, but that's a good thing.
Yes.
Doesn't our society change and evolve?
Yes.
It does, right? So we want people on the bench, someone like myself, who is in touch with how the citizens are evolving in our community. We want that voice heard on the circuit bench. A working mom, you know, there's an understanding there of the people who are going to come before me or the cases that'll be assigned to me.
Mhm.
There's an understanding there.
Yes.
Not saying that it's not going to be heard with someone who's not a working mom, but for me, it brings another perspective to the bench of empathy, understanding, also impartiality. You know, I am someone who, you know, I give everybody a chance.
Mhm.
There's no reason not to,
Mhm.
you know. And someone may come before me and believe, man, I did wrong, it's terrible. You don't always know if you did wrong, right?
Mhm.
That's why it's in the court of law, is to get that decision made. So I want people to be able to feel like she's going to be impartial enough to, again, at least let me get my side of the story out, because maybe I don't know the law. Most citizens don't know the law, right?
No, not even when it changes either.
Exactly. Now, see, now that's a whole other podcast.
Okay.
It's a whole other conversation. But be able to, the people who come before me should be able to feel comfortable enough to know that, okay, this person is familiar with the law.
Mhm.
And if this person is not familiar with the law, they have the resources to make sure they know exactly what this particular case is about.
Yes.
And is capable enough to do the research and then impartially
Mhm.
apply the facts and whatever information I've given to her
Mhm.
to my situation and to the law, and then give me a fair decision based on that.
Okay.
Those are all reasons why you want somebody like me on the bench. You don't
Mhm.
want more of the same of people who feel like they're entitled, so that's why they're there. They got a favor done for them, so that's why they're a judge. You want someone who understands the community and is not involved in this political stuff. That's not me. That's not me. I'm here to do a job and to do it right and to do it fair. And again, with the understanding that I work for the people. I work for you. This is not for me to sit here. This is not for me to feel like, okay, I just got a position of power,
Yes.
so I'm going to have an ego about it. That's not me, and anybody who's ever known me, fellow attorneys, practitioners, clients of mine,
Mhm.
I feel very confident in saying that nobody has ever felt that they got that
Yes.
vibe from me, because that's just not who I am.
Yeah. And you know what? You said something. When something is more so earned and you have compassion for it, you will do a better job at it. When people who deal with entitlement, it's just all about them.
Yes,
And when you're in positions like that, it's not about you, it's about the people.
that's right. That's right.
And we've seen enough of that even in higher offices where it's only about them
That's right.
and not about why they took the position. That's one of the worst things you can do, is have somebody in a people person position who don't care about the people.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Should our justice system look like your region and your community?
Wouldn't you want it to?
Mhm.
Wouldn't you want to know that your judicial system is made up not only of fair, impartial judges, but of those who understand the circumstances of this particular community?
Mhm.
The history of our county and our circuit judges is
Now my show is digging deep. Say what you can say.
okay.
What you can want to say that you can get away with.
I understand. The history of the circuit judges here in Madison County has been that there's not been a lot of representation, diverse representation on the circuit court bench, right? And it's an issue. It's an
Yes.
issue because, again, it has nothing to do with just simply are you qualified or not, but there's a certain understanding that comes with diversity.
Mhm.
And that's just the world now.
Yeah.
And anyone who tries to say anything different is telling some kind of living in a different kind of reality. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But the legislatures recently redrew the lines, and this is an issue that a lot of people just don't understand. Can I take just a minute to explain a little bit
Yeah.
about that?
Take your time.
Now, don't get me wrong. Nobody came to me to ask me how to do this. I had no input on it. I had I was not involved in one iota in this process. But the law changed January 1st, where Madison County now is divided into what they call 4 subcircuits.
Okay.
So, first subcircuit is the westernmost portion of our county. So that's Alton, That's a little bit of Godfrey, a little bit of Othalto, but all of Alton, all of Wood River, all of East Alton, all of Granite City, all of Madison, all of Venice.
Okay.
And then some areas around the refinery, Hartford, Roxana, all of that, right? I am in the first sub-circuit.
Okay.
The seat that I am running for, according to the new rules as of January 1st, only the people and residents who live in that area that I just described can vote for me. It is no longer, as of January 1st, the circuit judges are no longer voted countywide. So I'm in the first sub-circuit. Some years later, then the second sub-circuit will vote for a circuit judge, and so on down the line. But why I bring that up and why that's important is because part of the reason I understand that that was done is to make sure that there is representation from this portion of the county reflected on the circuit bench. So what that means is only residents who live in this area that I described can even run to be a circuit judge. So if you live in Highland, for example, right now you can't run to be a circuit judge because Highland is not in the first sub-circuit. So I live here in Alton. So I will be able to run as a candidate for circuit judge in November. So I'll kind of leave that there. It's so much to unpack, but I want to make sure that I outline who, because not everybody will see me on the ballot, is the key.
And see, that's okay.
And I want to make sure I explain a little bit about, I don't want someone getting to the polls and being upset, my ballot's messed up or something like that. No, most likely it's not. It's because the laws have been redrawn as of January 1st. So there'll only be a certain portion of our Madison County community that will be able to vote for me on November 8th.
So we are in Madison County, period. And so just because you're in Madison County does not mean you can vote for Ebony Huddleston for Madison County for the circuit clerk judge.
As of November 8th for this first term.
Yes.
That's correct. So when elected, I will serve all residents of Madison County.
Right.
So that's not just the first sub-circuit, but that's 2, 3, that's 4, that's all of them. So people who live in Highland, people who don't see me on the ballot right now, I will be the judge who will hear those cases though as well. But again, I bring that up because my understanding is that those lines were drawn to make sure, back to your question about should our community look like, should the bench look like our community, my understanding is that's part of the reasoning why those lines were drawn that way, is to make sure, because there's never been a circuit judge from the Alton area ever in Madison County.
Okay.
So to the history again of our county, there's never been a circuit judge from the Alton area on the bench.
So somewhat that can go in your favor. But it's so funny how let me say it like this, you're gonna be my judge.
Right.
But if I don't live in the area, I can't vote for you to make sure that you become my judge.
Right. And what I say to that is, again, nobody asked me about how this was done. I had no input on it, but I can see part of the reason why it was done this way. Again, to make sure that there is representation from all portions of the county. So let's remove this section right now, this November 8th, this first sub-circuit. So in a few years, the second sub-circuit will be the only ones to elect the circuit judge. And they have to live just in that sub-circuit.
Okay, let me get the understanding. So in 6 years, while you live in Alton, you can't run again.
No, I can run again.
You can run again.
Okay, so that's where it gets super complicated.
Okay,
is the
gotcha.
time frames on when the elections come up for the next sub-circuits.
Gotcha.
So in 6 years, I will be able to run again, and the people will see me again on the ballot here in this first sub-circuit.
Gotcha.
I will come up for retention, and you will see me again just as we're doing now.
Okay.
But again, I bring all of that up just to say, to your point about should the bench reflect the community, it will reflect the community.
Yes.
So when you said that can go negative or that can go positive, well, no, if you look at it in the bigger scope, it's positive for everybody.
Yes.
Because we're ensuring that each section of our county has a judge from that area to represent the county as a whole.
I see the
And
positive.
these elections for these subcircuits are staggered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once this election is over in a couple of years, the subcircuit for second subcircuit will have its election. So we'll all be mixed in together. So there will be equal representation from across the whole county serving on the bench at the same time.
I get it.
So to those,
I get it.
so and it took me a while to get there. I apologize for that. But my point is that yes, that's an excellent question. Our whole county should be representative. The bench should be representative of our whole county.
Yes.
And it will be that way now that this new law has been drawn.
Yes.
So those who are just, oh, I can't stand it, I can't believe it, this was all just to cut off who we can vote for. No, you got to think of it in a broader scope.
Yes.
As these staggered sub-circuit elections come about, everyone in the county will have representation on the bench at the same time.
Yes.
So as these cases are being doled out to the judges on the bench by the chief judge, we'll all be mixed in there as to who's hearing what cases for across the county.
Okay. I can get with that. I can see that. And so we're at a season, if you allow me to dig into some spiritual things, we're at a place now that things that once was is no more, and we're coming into new. Mm-hmm. We're coming into a whole lot of new stuff that's going to shake up. That's and people are not going to believe this took place and this happened. That's right. So yeah. That's right. So get ready. So when you win,
yes, ma'am. I claimed it. Look, you talk about spiritual, man. My God, I'm close.
Hello. Wow. And see, that's what will create a problem is when you don't have diversity in authority over the community or the region that you live in, because the we can say the little man won't feel like they have a voice or be heard. That's right. Because of what's taking place now. They will feel like they have been heard. So listen, before you say anything, so y'all go to the ballots now to go vote in November. If you don't live in that certain area, you won't see her name. But just know the ones who do live in her area, push them to go out and do that. Because in the primary, I serve as an election judge. So in the primary, it was very confusing. That's why I said you don't know when the laws change. We look up and we just say, I thought I was. Even when the precincts changed, you getting cards in the mail. We have somebody come and say, but I've always came here. Well, now they done moved your district over to this place now to go vote. So in me saying that is that a lot of people were confused. They didn't see your name on the ballot. Mm-hmm. And if you put the name in the wrong spot, it will not get counted. Mm-hmm. So we have some put your name in both spots to make sure you got counted.
Right.
And we're only allowed to say so much sitting there.
That's right.
So it's just like, well, just gotta write it in if you don't see her. Right. And we couldn't say, no, write it in here, or write it in down there. Right. So you don't know, and this is why we have to become literate people, citizens that know how to vote, when to vote, where to vote, and how the vote looks. So you have to pay attention when they're out here campaigning, when they're out here knocking on your door and leaving flyers. Don't feel afraid to ask questions, because you don't ask, you don't know. And when you don't know, ignorance does hurt. Yes. It hurts. Yes, ma'am. It hurts. Yes. Wow. Anything you want to add to that before we move on?
You will see my name on the ballot for November 8th. There will be no question about it. The foolishness, I'll just call it that, because that's what it was that occurred for the primary, and people not seeing my name on the ballot. That is not the case moving forward for November, right? Okay. My name will be on the ballot. So you will have to get your ballot, but you'll have to turn to the back side of the ballot. And the judges, I don't know why they put us here, but the judges are going to be at the bottom of the back side of the ballot. Okay. So what I've been telling people is start there. Go ahead, when they hand you your ballot and you take it to your place to cast your vote, go and flip it to the back and go to the bottom and go ahead and vote for the judge right then and get done with it. And then you can go back up to the top and do whatever you want to do with the governor and all that. Because here's the key, the voting process is not an easy thing to understand, just like we've been talking about today. So some people may get to the ballot and be like, man, I just really don't know who to vote for, I don't understand, or whatever. Before you get to the point where you feel maybe a little flustered or don't understand something, go and get to the backside of the judicial portion Get that vote out the way. Then go on back to the front side and handle your business.
So now you mentioned about your name not being on the ballot in the primary. Why was that so?
So, myself and another gentleman who's running for another one of the judge positions, circuit judge positions, Barry Julian, we both had submitted petitions as we were supposed to the Illinois State Board of Elections. And there was a technicality on the form on our petitions. And here nor there, the technicality was a date situation of when we were supposed to circulate our petitions, and the initial date needed to be different than what it was on our petitions.
Okay.
And that was because, again, when this new law was passed January 1st, I'll just call it what it is, the Republicans didn't like it. And so they filed a lawsuit, a temporary restraining order, to stopping that law from even going into effect. So that had to play out in the court system for a while. Well, the petitions that Barry and myself had gotten had the dates prior to the temporary restraining order on it. So whatever the reason, the Republicans chose to say, all right, even though they said because we went to court over this, right? Even though they testified and admitted in court under oath that no, we didn't do anything fraudulent, we didn't do anything wrong. They did not believe that he and I circulated our petitions before the time frame when we were supposed to. They admitted to all of that under oath. However, the 3-judge panel still decided to kick us off the ballot, basically. So, we said, that's all right. The devil's a lie. I don't speak for Barry, but I said the devil's a lie. So what we decided to do, and what I decided to do, was not continue to litigate that issue, but just get to the ground, get to the people, go out and start talking to people right now and saying, hey, look, this is the situation. So what I need you to do is write my name in for the primary, which was June 28th. And through those efforts and through the support of the community and the understanding of the community, I was able to secure more than 4 times the number of write-ins that was needed. So 35 votes was needed to get on the ballot for November 8th. Received over 1,500 write-ins. So, you know what? If it's for you, it's for you. That's what I told myself. I said, you know what? And there was no harm to starting the process in my mind. We just started campaigning early. That's all. Everyone else and our potential opponents at that time, they didn't do anything. They sat on their thumbs. But we're out here pounding the pavement, getting the word out now. So things like this, getting people familiarized with my face, who I am, telling my story, letting them know that I am from here. Maybe you haven't seen me all around, but born and bred here, graduated from Alton Heights, valedictorian. I mean, come on. So I take that as just some additional work that needed to be done that was unexpected, but that's what happens. Sometimes that happens. And back to what you said earlier, when something's earned, you put a little bit more stock, a lot more stock into that when something's earned. I didn't want to feel like I was just, again, being entitled to the position, so I'm just going to give up because they just did me dirty or did me wrong. No. I'm going to work for this because I believe that we need representation like myself on this bench.
And opposition doesn't always mean give up.
That's right.
It just means this is the road you should be taking. So something is trying to block you, keep pushing.
That's right.
Keep moving. And so even though it was trying not to get you on the ballot, your write-in still got you in, but now you're ready for November.
That's right. That's right.
Well, it's your time, y'all.
That's
Come
right.
on.
That's right. That's right.
If it doesn't come with any opposition, you may want to question it.
There you go. So that was just a battle in the war. I'm still in the war. That was just one of the battles in the war.
Yes. Okay. So now, this coming November, what do the people need to really do to make sure that they get you in that seat?
All right. So, first of all, make sure you're registered to vote.
Can they still vote at this time?
Absolutely.
They can go get
Absolutely.
registered.
Everyone can still register to vote right now. Registration for voting is open now and lasts up maybe a day or so before. I don't have that date exactly. A day or so before the election, and maybe on election day you register to vote. I'll have to find that out. But you can register to vote. I have a website as well as a Facebook page that has links to
Okay.
how you can register to
Tell them
vote.
that right quick.
Sure. So my website is Huddleston, 4judge.com.
Yeah, spell Huddleston.
I just read it. I said, yeah, let me go and do that.
I didn't see plenty of names in my job. I said, that's what? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. So Huddleston, HUDD as in dog, LESTON, Huddleston. That's my last name, 11 letters, and then the 4, and then Judge, JUDGE.com. That's my website. So I've got link on there, as well as more information about myself. You'll see my biography. You'll see the events that I've been participating in. Again, just to get more familiar with me, to know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I want the voters to know who they're voting for. I want the voters to feel comfortable with who they would elect, right? So I'm not trying to just do this in an underhanded way.
Right.
This is not a self-serving motivation for me. This is a community, bigger, greater good motivation for me. And then my Facebook page, Ebony Huddleston for Circuit Judge. And then you can also go to, I'm not as savvy with social media, but I know it's the @ symbol.
Yes.
And Huddleston, again, HUDDLESTON, 4, Judge, JUDGE, is also my Facebook page.
Okay.
So, and again, that also has a link to how to register to vote. So you don't have to do really any work except click on the link. And I also have some literature that it's a QR code. All you got to do is put your phone up to it, and it will take you right to the website. So I try to make it as easy as I can for you. So that's one of the things you need to do, is make sure you're registered to vote. For those of you who already know you're registered to vote, you got to go to the polls. You have to go to the polls. You have to go to the polls. A lot of us are registered to vote, but feel our voice doesn't matter.
Yes.
For whatever the reason, you feel dejected, you feel like no one cares about you. Again, nobody hears you, which is what I said originally, is one of the reasons why this court system needs to be different. It needs to be more amenable to the people. It needs to feel more friendly to the people, because you're the only reason we're employed, right?
Yes.
You cut my check, right? So you need to feel like, okay, I can feel like I can go before this person who I'm writing a check for, and I'm going to be heard fairly.
Yes.
So those of you who are registered to vote already, and those of you who will be registering to vote, go to the polls and vote. November 8th is election day. It's a Tuesday. All day you can vote. Early voting also starts September 29th. And what early voting is, certain voting locations will open before November 8th, and you can actually physically go vote before November 8th.
And doesn't matter where your ward is or anything, you can go to those certain sites.
Correct. For early voting, it doesn't matter where you're assigned. So I know one of the early voting locations is going to be the Scott Bibb Center.
Yes.
Another one of the early voting locations will be in Edwardsville at the administration building. I'm not sure all of the ones. We haven't gotten the official list yet from the county, so I don't believe that it's out yet. But I'll have all that information on my website and my Facebook page. Please like and follow both of those, and then as that information becomes available, you'll get the notices about it. And then again, you've got to make sure you turn that ballot over and go to the bottom and look for my name. My name's gonna be on there. You don't have to worry about, okay, do I need to take a card with me with her name? My name gonna be on, how I'm supposed to write it in. I have to spell it. You don't have to do any writing except coloring in that oval next to my name. So go on ahead and start on page 2 at the bottom. Vote for me, and then go on and handle the rest of your business. Not that any of those elections are not as important, but I just want to make sure that you do a vote for me. If you know you want to vote for me, I want you to make sure you get it done and don't forget or get disheartened or whatever the situation might be. So those are some key things that have to be done. Make sure you're registered to vote. Those of you who are registered to vote, please make sure you go to the polls. You can go to the polls on November 8th. I encourage everyone to vote early. Just vote early if you're concerned about your work schedule, not knowing where you're supposed to go vote. It's a frenzy for you. Some people just have anxiety about the whole situation. Vote early. And here's the other option. You can vote by mail. If you a lot of people who are maybe a little bit elderly, or those who just don't want to get out, COVID is still a real thing for a lot of people, and just say, you know what, I just don't want to be in the midst of all of that. You can call over to the clerk's office, and I've got all that information on my website as well, or you can email them. Those of you who don't have internet access, you can call over there, ask them to send you a ballot in the mail. They will send you a ballot in the mail. When you get that, fill it out. I believe they got an envelope for you. You don't have to pay for any postage. You fill that thing out, put it in that envelope, and send it back in. Your vote's cast. It's done. And trust me, record is made of those votes. So we know who's requesting the ballots, and we know who's turning them back in.
Okay,
so your vote,
good.
if you think, man, this ain't going to count, they just going to toss it in the trash. That's not the case. And I have a team of people who we track all of that and ask for that information to make sure that that's being done correctly.
Okay.
So certainly feel free to just call and request your ballot if you don't want to go in person. And you can
Okay.
start doing that now. That started, I believe, earlier in August, where you could call and ask for your ballot. So even
Okay.
people who maybe are residents here, but like myself, when I went away to school, election years came up. I was down in New Orleans when election year came up. I didn't come home for November 8th just to vote. I asked for them to have my ballot mailed to me. I cast my ballot in New Orleans, put it back in the mail, and mailed it back home.
Yes.
I voted. So do that as well, even if you're just maybe not going to be in the area November 8th. Go ahead and get your vote by mail ballot. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
So that was a long answer to you.
No, that was very thorough because
Okay.
you have to be thorough before asking questions.
Okay.
And leave no questions left open. So let me ask you this too: if I did not vote in the primary, can I vote on November 8th?
Excellent question. Yes, ma'am. Yes. If you did not vote in the primary, you absolutely can vote in November during
Okay.
the general election. Yes. Don't let that be a hindrance. Yes,
So
ma'am.
explain what is the primary? Why do we need 2 elections in 1 year? What is the primary?
Okay, great question. So the primary is an election where people have to identify what political party they're running for. So that's typically Democrat, Republican, Independent, and then you're hearing a lot about Green Party. Those are the most popular parties. So the primary is an opportunity for anybody who wants to run for a particular seat of those parties. They have to run against each other first so it can be narrowed down. So let's say there were 2 Democrats running for my same one seat. We would have had to have an election amongst ourselves first, so that way it could be narrowed down to the one Democrat who is running for that position. And then in the general, then it's the opposing political parties running for that same position that are voted upon.
Okay.
So fortunately for me, there was no other Democrat running for the seat that I was running for in the primary. So when you wrote my name in, there was no question about Ebony. As long as she got enough write-ins, Ebony was going to be on the ballot in November.
Okay.
So that's the difference between the primary and the general. The primary is you have to whittle down all candidates from each party to one candidate from each party. And then the general is all parties have one representative that you have to vote for. And then that one person that has the most votes will be elected to that seat.
So you understand that's how come you have to go out and vote in the primary to get who you want to be ready for the general.
Yes.
All right. So let me ask you this one little question here. Were there challenges or did you run across or have you in your career when you being a woman being in places of authority?
Well, you know, I'll say it this way. I have been fortunate enough to have a great family and friend support system. When certain challenges came up, I didn't shy away from them. I was able to meet them head on the best of my ability that I could and still be myself, a woman who happens to be a working mom, who happens to be a Black person. I was able to do the best I could to face those challenges head on. And so, again, I believe back to the point you made, all of those experiences have led me to where I am now, have given me the strength, have given me the confidence, have given me the motivation, have given me even getting the education and the higher education that I chose to do. Observing certain things in our community and in life have all sparred for me to be where I am right now.
Okay.
If I can answer that.
Yes. Well, my last question, I guess, I'll think of something else in a minute. But what prompted and what prompts you to keep going further into caring for the people? In other words, what prompted you to become an attorney? And then what prompted you even the more to go even further? Because it's like, no matter what you keep doing, you keep serving the people. You keep serving the people. What made you wake up one day and say, I'm gonna be a lawyer? Okay, you know what? Ain't that I'm tired of being a lawyer, but I can do a little bit more if I become a circuit judge.
Right.
So what are these eye-awakening moments? What are these aha that said, oh, we can go a little deeper.
Right.
So start with the attorney, then go to the circuit judge.
It's actually a funny story how I made up my mind to be an attorney, and when I was young, my parents always videotaped our dinner, so like Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinners, things like that. Always videotaped them as we're sitting around, and I always asked a whole lot of questions. Mm-hmm. And so at some point, I think this is the way the story goes, I was in 5th grade, 3rd, 4th grade, somewhere in there, and I told my parents I either wanted to be a candy maker, I wanted to be an astronaut, or I wanted to be an attorney. And so I kind of got on this kick of wanting to be a candy maker because I was just fascinated at that age about, hey, I loved it at that time in the Alton Mall, they had the big umbrella and the cart and all that kind of stuff. Like, oh, that's cool. That's what I want to do. And my mom's like, no. We need to dig a little bit deeper here. That's what you're not going to do.
I got a funny story about that. Go ahead. I'll tell it later.
She's like, we need to dig a little bit deeper there. So the way my parents put it to me was, look, Ebony, you can do that too. But why don't you look at this other goal first? And then along your way, you can do more than one thing. So my parents, thank God, were the kind of parents who said, you know what, you can do whatever you want to do. But they were like, let's just help you prioritize how you want to do that. So I enjoyed questions. I loved reading. So, the analytical process of the books I was reading, I think one of the starting series was Babysitter's Little Sister. My older sister, I have an older sister by 4 years, Ashante, who also graduated from Alton High. She was into Babysitters series, and then they came out with a Little Sisters, and I just jumped on that. So my sister, so anyway, all of that led into, you know what, I think this is a good area for me to go into. And again, I've always cared in the questions, and I watched some of those VHS tapes back, and I'm like, asking questions that kind of blow my mind now that I was considering back then. So that's kind of how the attorney thing came about. Then when I got to high school, president of the student senate, was again top of my class, graduated valedictorian, just, all of that just was part of interesting to me, So then into college, I said, you know what, I decided to major in English again because I loved reading and writing. Had a minor in accounting and Spanish because I was really good in Spanish. And so I thought about doing some international stuff for a while, international law. So even when I entered into college, I started off in my sophomore year classes of Spanish. I was taking at the beginning of college when I entered because I was just that good at writing and speaking it at the time.
Wow. So,
and then I loved business. So during college, I interned at Arthur Anderson, which was a major accounting firm at the time, one of the top 5 accounting firms in the country, probably the world at the time. And so I interned with them, and I spent some time in some of their business consulting areas. And again, all of that just continued to reinforce my love for the law. But again, the law and serving the community and serving people. How could I maneuver the law in a way? How can I maneuver this business to be beneficial for the people? So all of that led to, going to law school, went to law school, did great, was on moot court, which is it's a student body court basically, and we just hear cases amongst ourselves, but was the chief of the moot court there. And so all of that just continued to solidify. Every step just seemed to solidify that this is what I should be doing, right? So then to the point of moving past just being a lawyer and becoming a judge now, like what was the moment that said you wanted to do that? Well, I always knew, again, I was making a difference, and I love what I do being an attorney. I mean, I love what I do. I mean, there are days when I am up and at the office early, and then I don't get home till late. I love what I do. So it's not a labor for me. It's really a love for me. But again, as I've been practicing, I'm noticing that I can get my clients so far. And that's it. I can only get my clients so far. And I'm like, man, I'm noticing something here that I'm like, boy, not saying that the judges I've been in front of have not been fair or certain things like that. I'm not making any claims against the judges I've ever been in front of. They've all been very, very cordial to me. And I think respectful and respect me as an attorney. But I just know that there is more that I can do for the people on the other side. And that's not one particular type of person or people. That's all people.
Yes.
All of my clients. And I
Yes.
represent clients from various nationalities and various socioeconomic statuses.
Yes.
I represent various clients. And so I
The
know,
people.
again, the people.
Yeah.
But there's only so far I can go as an attorney. And I feel that I can do more for the people on the other side. And again, reinstill that the judicial system is not a bad thing.
Yes.
There's this impression that if you got to go to court, it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It should not be that way. The
That's the
judicial
stigma.
system is here to help work out situations that happen with people, but it shouldn't be where it's a bad thing. So I feel that if I go to the other side, when I go to the other side of the bench, that I can start to reinstill that into the people, into the citizens of this community especially.
Yes.
Which has been a hardworking community. Alton has been a hardworking community.
Yes.
And not just all the whole of Madison County, but there's a lot of good people here that just certain things happen in life to everybody, me included.
Yes.
And you want to be able to feel like, if I got to go to this judicial system, at least it won't be this total depressive, anxiety-filled, just defeated type of procedure. So,
wow. Listen, the stuff that she just said there, you have to know your path, even if you don't know what's all on your path. Every step she took kept leading her to the path of knowing that she was on the right path. Listen, I got a funny story I'm gonna tell her about this. She said, "With that candy worker, I have a daughter." Monica probably gonna get me, but I gotta share it. I think when kids see things that are fascinating, they automatically, that's what I want to be. I never forget, we was passing Dairy Queen on Washington Avenue, and she loved ice cream like her mom. I love ice cream. So she said, "Mom," I said, "What?" I'm out like, "What?" She said, "I know what I'm gonna be when I grow up." I said, "What?" She said, "A Dairy Queen worker." We laughed so hard at that child. I said, "No, baby." I said, "You can work there while you in high school, but you got to aim a little bit higher than that the same way. So you can't kill their dream, but you got to just direct them to go a little bit, a little further over."
Right.
So, yeah.
I tell you, and it's great. And again, when you see that passion and invigoration in a child,
Yes.
you want to continue to nurture
Yes.
that. Like I said, but in nurturing means direction as well, So my parents had to do that for me, and I'm grateful that they did.
Because listen, you doing more help with us being on the judicial and also being an attorney than being a candy maker. Even though we would love candy.
Look. That's not out because I love candy.
Okay.
I got sweet tooth out of this. Okay, we're going to go there another day.
Okay.
But let me tell you this, the community, and that's the whole Madison community, has poured so much into me during my youth all the way up. They have poured so much into me. And I'll tell you, my parents, thank God, they decided to put me into private school. Not that there was anything wrong with public school. That's just the path my parents chose for me.
Yes.
Right? Graduated from St. Ambrose, which is a Catholic church out in Godfrey, church and school out in Godfrey. Made some great connections and relationships out there. I was able to take those connections with me throughout my rest of my educational career and then on to my professional career.
Yes.
That's another reason why I'm saying I want to give back to this community because this community is given to me.
Yes.
And it's not always just one certain part of the community.
Yes.
I believe that my parents positioned my sister and I in a way where we could take advantage in a positive way of everything Alton and Madison County had to offer.
Yes.
And I feel that I would be doing both my parents who've passed on now a disservice if I didn't continue to go along this path of fire that I feel is in me, just like all the scholarships that I was awarded from all of the communities, all of Godfrey Rotary Club and this one and that one, and Silver Medallion and all of the different inroads and Minority Excellence and all of those organizations. They poured so much into me. I want to pour that back into my community, and I feel that I've been doing that.
Yes.
Up to this point, for sure, through my practice of law, again, which is right here in Alton. But I know I can do even more on the other side.
Yes.
And it's just a passion for me. I just love what I do, and I love the people. I love it.
Yes, you got to. Listen, we about to come to the end of the show, and I'm gonna give Ebony a chance to say whatever she wanted to say to you, the people, the viewers. And I enjoyed having Ebony here today and what she discussed. She opened my eyes and gave me some more understanding, and I believe that she did the same for you all as well. But listen, you are going to have to support. Well, let me just wait. Let me just give her the last say something. You know I'm going to come behind with my perspective. Let me just let Ebony say what she want to say. Feel free. The stage is yours.
Well, first of all, thank you for
Yes.
allowing me the opportunity to come on your show and have conversation with you and all the followers out there.
Yes.
I appreciate that, and I'll just even go and say, you prayed over me, and that has meant so much to me as well.
Yes.
Again, putting investment into me. That's how I received that, is you were investing something into me. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to ask me here today.
Yes.
But I appreciate that. So I feel what I need to do is go back on the other side and say, all right, I can pour back into you, and I'm going to do it in this judicial way, in this legal way. I appreciate all of the support from the voters, my family, my volunteers, the community as a whole. Again, Madison County as a whole, but certainly in this area as well. I appreciate all the support you all have given to me so far through the primary and now moving forward to the general election. This has been just, I've been able to live my dream so far. And I feel honor everyone who has touched my life in some way, I believe can feel happy and proud as to their impact that they've had on me. And so I just want to say, please go to the polls. Please make sure you're registered to vote. If not, register. Then go to the polls. Cast your vote. Cast your vote. Your vote counts. It makes a difference. There are people who wish that they had the opportunity to vote now. Don't let your opportunity to have your voice heard go by the wayside simply because you don't think you're going to be heard. Votes and elections are being decided by 5 counts these days. Our primary election, there were some other elections that happened in the state of Illinois. Votes were decided within certain counties by 2. All right? It's important that you go vote. And so I thank you all. If you have any questions for me, please reach out to me. I've given you my social media, my website. My office is 1401 Washington Avenue. Feel free to stop by. You want a t-shirt, you want a sign, you want some literature, you need some legal advice. Come on by, say something to me. My door is always open. And again, thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you. Listen, okay, my perspective. I wanted to come on here today to bring my guest to show you that if you keep pursuing what you want to do in life, you can make it happen. Dreams do come true. As a child, she told you her story about how she kept asking questions. Asking questions doesn't mean that you are illiterate. No, you ask questions to become knowledgeable. So keep pursuing, keep going forward. She kept going on the path. On the path, she kept getting signs showing that this is the right way to go. That's what you have to do. Yes, you may have got on your path and stumbled a little bit, but you get back up and get back on. Get on your path. There's no roadblocks and you can't get back on your path. Get on your path. Listen, if you want a voice, you have to vote. Well, I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat, I'm independent. You vote for the best candidate. Doesn't matter what your political party is. You vote for the best candidate. I feel like I'll be portrayed if I'm Republican, I'll vote for a Democrat. No, it is your choice, your vote. You do, as they say, you do for the best candidate, not for the party, for the best candidate. Listen, I'm your host, Paula, here on Digging Deep. Glad you was here to be able to be a part, to witness, to understand who you're voting for come November the 8th in the general election. And as always, remain blessed, and to God be the glory for the things he has done.